Time to see results. Okay. So does it normally take a while for things to change? When I watch the videos, it seems like people are healed instantly. And then I work on people and it doesn't work that fast. Okay. I'm working on my dad and he started feeling better for the first 3 weeks and now he's in a lot of pain again. So I keep working on him, but it doesn't seem to get better. Am I doing something wrong? No, probably not. And it's a fascinating thing. I think that I'm just blessed because my job is to teach this work to the world. And so I'm blessed if I get on a radio show or if I'm in a webinar or something, I can usually get really rapid results with people. And not everybody can do that. But in fact, when I'm not on a call or something like that or a webinar, it typically takes me a little longer as well. So it's an interesting thing. It's kind of an unusual situation for me, and I just think that I'm blessed, and I've got a lot of angels helping me, and so on. When I'm on some kind of a call where I'm trying to teach the world about this work, so don't feel bad if it doesn't work as fast as you see it on some of the videos. Okay, typically, what you need to understand is that with each person that you're working with, okay, each thing that you release from them is taking them a step closer to where they want to get, okay, and to being well emotionally and mentally and physically. But remember also that there's another kind of interesting phenomenon, and that is that the body, like for example, here this person says, I'm working on my dad and he started feeling better for the first 3 weeks, and now he's in a lot of pain again. So I keep working on him. Uh, a lot of the time what happens, and I noticed this when I was in practice, sometimes people would come into me who were really just so desperately sick or really in terrible pain. And I would work on them and see a really positive change that would take place. And then suddenly they would go back to having all their symptoms again. That's how I came to the conclusion that is how the subconscious mind of that person lets you know that you are on the right track. Okay. Suddenly the symptoms will get better and you'll think, oh my gosh, that was amazing. It's a miracle. And then the symptoms come back again. Again, that's just the subconscious mind letting you know, okay, this is great. You're on the right track. But guess what? There's more work to do. So, in a case like this where you're doing this work, doesn't seem to be getting any better, there are a couple of recommendations that I would have. One thing that I would recommend is that if you don't already have the body code, make sure that you're using the body code, okay? Because if, for example, your dad has issues that are not necessarily just emotional, then the body code is going to help you to find those issues. A couple of other things I want to point out. You want to be completely open to whatever might be the underlying causes of this. Don't get stuck in some kind of a rut. And, sometimes we think that, well, the last 3 people had this particular problem, and in all 3 cases, it was because of this particular imbalance. Don't get stuck thinking that way. Remember that anything can cause anything in the body, so keep that in mind. The other thing that I can never really emphasize enough is prayer. All right, prayer. Ask for help. That's where all of this came from. I mean, I'm not smart enough to come up with all this stuff. I just work here, but I was praying and I was asking. And so whatever you believe that higher power to be, if you believe that there's a higher power, when you draw upon that higher power and you ask for help, then you're going to get that help. If you don't ask for help and you're doing it on your own, well, then you're really, really limited as far as what you're going to be able to do. That's just how it is. I mean, I didn't write the rules. That's just the way it goes. So remember that sometimes also things can take time to get well. You don't want to give up, okay? It's kind of like when you start doing CPR on somebody, okay? You don't give up when you get tired. You keep going. And sometimes it takes quite a while, and then all of a sudden that person starts breathing. It always makes me crazy when I'm watching the movies and somebody does CPR on someone else for 30 seconds and then they just stop and give up. And it's like, okay, that's it. This person's dead. That's not how it works. remember that everything that you release, every imbalance that you find, is taking that person a step closer. And sometimes it takes time. I remember once I had a patient that came to me, and she had migraine headaches, I think, for 19 years. And after the first session, she wasn't really noticing a lot of change. After, I think, maybe one more session, it was, she kind of confronted me about it and said, I'm just, you know, I'm still having my migraine headaches. And I said, well, okay, let's think about this for a minute. I knew that I was fixing the imbalances that her body wanted fixed. Okay. And you can only go as fast as the body is willing to take you, right? Sometimes some people take longer. And I said to her, to try to put it into perspective for her, I said, okay, let's think about this for a minute. You've had these headaches for how long? Oh, 19 years. Okay. Well, do you think it's possible maybe that it might take 19 days for things to get well? Oh, well, maybe. She was expecting, instantaneous healing. And of course, sometimes that happens, and that's always so exciting, and it's great when it happens. But it's kind of the exception rather than the rule, really, with healing. Healing is a process, right? And so I said to her, she was starting to see the light, and I said, okay, is it possible that maybe it might take 19 sessions of working with you to fix this? Do you think that could be possible? Would it still be worth it? Well, yeah, it could be possible. Yeah, that would be worth it if it got rid of my migraine, sure. And I said, okay, what if it took 19 weeks? I mean, could that happen? Well, yeah, it's possible. What if, putting it way, way out there, what if it took 19 months for you to get rid of a problem that you've had for 19 years? Is that possible that it could take that long? Well, yeah, it's possible. Would it be worth it in the end? Well, yeah, sure, it would. So, we're so conditioned in our society to want instantaneous results because we're used to taking drugs. I mean, if you're in pain, well, here's a Lortab, you'll get out of pain. But if you take that for a few days, you'll be addicted. We're used to wanting things to be instantaneous, and that's usually not how it is. And even when I was in my practice, there were times when people would heal instantly on a first session, and that would be it, and they would be fixed. But that was really the exception rather than the rule. I remember one guy came in, he had fibromyalgia, which is the severe muscle pain all over the body. He'd had that for 50 years, and he got well in one session. Is that possible? Absolutely. And what you want to do is, when you're working on people, you want to believe that that's exactly what is going to happen. Okay? You want to believe that, and you want to have faith that that's what's going to happen. And it's a funny thing, faith and belief and how they connect up and how they tie in with healing. The reality of it is, faith is disparaged as part of healing. When people say the word faith healer, oh, that person's just a faith healer. That's kind of a derogatory comment. But I'll tell you something, the reality of it is, if a person has no faith in what you're doing, if they have no faith that you can help them, it's going to be very difficult for you to help them, if not impossible. Faith plays a huge, huge role. The more a person believes, the more power they have, the more ability they have to actually get well. And I think that Christ tried to teach us that. If you look at the New Testament, there were times when, for example, there was a woman who had some kind of a menstrual issue of blood for, I think, 12 years. And Christ is going by in this big crowd with all of his apostles and all these people, and she believes that if she can just reach out and touch his garment, she'll be healed. And she does. And he instantly stops and he says, "Who touched me?" And his disciples say, "Well, what do you mean? There are all these people all over the place pressing in. What do you mean, who touched you?" And he said, "No, somebody touched me. I felt power leave me." And then he turns around and here's this woman. and she was probably weeping, I'm sure. And he probably knelt down, and then, he told her that she was made well. And what he said is, "Your faith has made you well." So faith is an important thing. Anyway, I got way off on a tangent there, but sorry.